Hey, everybody, and welcome to this week's belated, is that the right word? I don't know.
Yeah.
Episode of a double feature. We were taking a look at the classic Disney film Marry Poppins, and hopefully you've had a chance to check that film out. If not, please do so, as we will probably be talking about some spoilish material. So, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. But, and you haven't lived, that is true. So, if you haven't seen it, you really should check it out.
Or you should die. One of the two.
Or you should die. If you haven't seen it, you should die. No, we're just kidding. Anyways, but that being said, Derek, I am going to direct my first question at you. So my wife and I watched this, and it's one of my wife's favorite movies. And this time around, I got to thinking, do you think Marry Poppins came for the children, or do you think she came for Mr. Banks himself? Because, well, you answer the question, and I'll tell you what I think.
Yeah. I think she came for everybody in the family. I mean, most specifically for Mr. Banks and the children. The mother is an odd character in the film.
Yeah.
Because everybody in the film is so wrapped up in their own egoistical points of view. The children are just wanting to play at the very beginning, so they're always running away from the nanny. Mom is devoted solely to the cause and throwing rotten fruit and vegetables at the prime minister. And then Mr. Banks is completely 100% invested in the bank. No pun intended.
Right.
And what Marry Poppins does is really look at placing all of these people in situations where they can see the world and viewpoint from somebody else's perspective. So the children see how much the bank means for their father and how much his job means to him. Mr. Banks then can see how much the simple pleasures his children are craving matter, and how much family matters rather than the lord of the castle. And I think this isn't played up at all in the movie, but to some extent the mother sees sort of the deterioration of both sides of Jane and Michael and her husband, and tries to alleviate all. But like I said, the mother becomes a very flat character in the film, and she's very secondary. Most of the time she's just there to reaffirm whatever has been said, and so as a character she's forgettable. But so there you go. I'd say both.
Okay. You see, I originally thought that, but this most recent viewing, my opinion has changed to now I think she solely came for the father, because the reason I say that is because the father is the only one who, by the end, recognizes the hand of Marry Poppins as sort of a saving grace. When he's in the bank talking with the partners, there's this moment where he's like, oh my gosh, Marry Poppins did this and she did that, and oh my gosh, she made me see. And as the children don't even thank or recognize Marry Poppins for her hand in their fulfillment, I guess, or in their development.
But do you think they need to be able to recognize her hand in order for her to have an influence and an effect? That just seems odd to me.
Well, you're right. And in fact, she addresses that at the very end of the film, where the bird on her umbrella says, oh, no one's come to thank you, and she's like, oh no, it's as it should be. They should be with their father. So you're right. I don't think they need to recognize her. I wonder if the effect, her purpose was to bring the father to a place where he could see his children in a way that perhaps he had forgotten.
Yeah.
And then therefore fulfill the need his children had to be loved and played with. And
yeah. Well, on the other hand, I think there's this great scene as she's getting Jane and Michael ready to go to the bank, and she's explaining things to them. It's before she holds up the snow globe with the lady that sings the Feed the Birds song. She tells Jane and Michael that their father is trapped. He's in a prison and he can't get out, and it's destroying him. And then, after they run away and the father comes home, we see this image where she tells the kids, go up to the nursery. Come on, you're in trouble. Get out of here, spit spot. But she doesn't take them to the nursery. She leaves them on the landing so they can spy on their dad, and they watch him get fired over the telephone, and they can see him just now completely broken. And I think between those two maneuvers, these kids really start recognizing how troubled their dad is, whereas before they were all about, why isn't dad paying attention to us? The table's now turned, and they recognize we need to take care of dad. And that's when they go down and then give him the 2 tuppence. And I think, if anything in the movie, what changes his mind is the tuppence. It's Michael giving him the tuppence there in the house, and he really understands, my kids love me, and it's those tuppence that save him in the bank. As he's floundering for something to say, he finds the tuppence again, and it goes out. So, he does give credits to Mary Poppins then and there. However, I think the more accurate reading would be if he was to say he would give Mary Poppins credit for putting Jane and Michael thoroughly in his vision.
Fair enough. No, okay, I can see that perspective. No, that's true.
Now,
anyways, do you have a favorite scene or a favorite moment in the movie, or a favorite song?
No, I don't think I have a favorite song.
You don't? Oh, I have one. You gotta pick one.
No, I don't. Favorite scene? I don't know. I always chuckle. It's the scene where Admiral Boom comes out onto his deck and he's like, fine, glorious morning. Let's make it a double shot of gunpowder. That ought to wake him up.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
For whatever reason, I always just crack up on that. Give him hell, Admiral.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Oh, and there's also the one-liner when George Banks is storming out of the house, and he's like, and another thing, when I sit down to be at an instrument, I demand that it be in tune. But George, you don't play. Madam, that is entirely beside the point.
My favorite scene is I do like the supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, but I love when she says it backwards, and then she's like, that might be going a little too far, and I was like, oh, wait, what? Duper fragile, what? Oh, man. I just want to know how long Julie Andrews had to practice to get that down.
I couldn't tell you. But it's not true backwards.
I can't say it backwards. With it. I guess that's true. It's not officially backwards, but anyways, that's a fun one.
Yeah. Well, I got a quick question.
And Let's Go Fly a Kite. That's my favorite song.
Let's Go Fly a Kite. Yeah, well,
That's a great song.
It's a good point.
Sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead.
No, I was going to have a question for you. In yours little write-up, review, whatever, you said that we needed to, instead of investing in personal commodities, you should invest in nature. And I was just wondering if you could expound a little bit on that, about what you meant.
Yeah, you know, like I said, I think I'm still trying to figure out exactly what I think is happening. I mean, the experience I think I had while watching this film this time around, but I think I was just very interested by this "Feed the Birds" song, and maybe I took it a little too literally. We have this woman who is sitting on the steps of St. Paul's Cathedral who, instead of, I mean, I would assume she's homeless. I guess there's no indication whether she is or isn't. But I would assume this is a woman who, yeah, she's poor. She's poor, and she decided that her calling is to feed these birds. And I just thought that was a very interesting motif, that perhaps there are things that we get wrapped up in. Mm-hmm. We get wrapped up in the job, or we get wrapped up in something, and we forget what our calling is. We forget, and in Mr. Banks' case, we forget, instead of investing all my time at the bank, I should be investing my time into my children. And so there's this, yeah, there was, and I still don't know if I'm saying it correctly, but just, I think this film made me reflect on, how am I investing myself? Am I investing myself in the right things? I also was wondering if this was some sort of commentary on capitalism versus, what's the right word? Like stewardship? Maybe that's not the right word.
No, we promised we would not get into any Marxist critiques here, so we're shutting that question down.
That is true. That's true. But that did pop into my mind as I was watching the film.
There's nothing wrong with capitalism. What are you implying, sir?
I guess I'm implying nothing. Just food for thought. Food for thought. All right. Well, that concludes our discussion of Marry Poppins film. And again, if you haven't seen it, please go check it out. It's such a wonderful film. You will be singing and dancing the whole way through. So go check it out. And as always, feel free to leave any comments you might have about the film in the comment section below. And if you have seen Saving Mr. Banks, please let us know, because Derek and I are both dying to see it, and we just haven't had the time to go check it out. So if you've seen it, let us know on a scale of 1 to a bajillion how great it was.
So that's the technical terminology.
Yes, if you somewhere in between 1 and 1 bajillion, please rate it. But anyways, thanks for tuning in this week. Again, sorry for being so late. It's been a busy week for both of us, but thanks for tuning in. And be sure to follow us on social media. And as always, we'll see you guys next week when we do you know what? I'm not going to tell you. When we do something interesting. And as always, watch good movies.